April 28, 2019, a teenage boy lies in a swimming pool in Abuja. His body is drifting slowly in the dark water. The pool is at the Dome Hotel, a popular leisure spot where hundreds of people gather every weekend. At 3:30 in the morning, it's almost empty. Three young men stand by the edge of the pool and they are just watching him. They watch him struggle, they watch the bubbles stop, they watch the water go still, they watch the boy as he drifts across the swimming pool. But here is the part that still haunts me. They did not just watch this boy. According to a sworn testimony of a family friend who saw the CCTV footage of this incident, the three friends grouped together to discuss for about a minute. It was a conscious collective decision. They huddled together, talked, and then they walked away. They took this boy's phone, they emptied his pockets, they tried on his shoes, and then they went back to school to sleep. This is the story of 17-year-old Emmanuel Balogun and the friends who let him die because girls like him better and his father had money. Who was Emmanuel? Emmanuel Aigbokhalode Balogun was a 17-year-old fresher, a fresh-faced 100-level student at the University of Abuja studying computer science. By all accounts, he was good-looking, easygoing, and well-liked. He was the kind of teenager that every girl admired and the kind of person that everybody wanted to be like, the kind of boy that other boys wanted to be friends with. But among his peers, this natural popularity drew a sinister side: jealousy. On April 27th, 2019, he and his three friends decided to attend a pool party, a freshers party at the Dome Hotel in Abuja. The Dome was a famous fun spot in the capital city, and the admission fee for this particular party was 2,000 naira per person. Emmanuel, being the generous person he was, according to testimonies later given to the police, decided that he wanted to pay the 2,000 naira gate fee for each of his friends. He also bought fish and juice, which they all drank together. As far as he knew, he was just having a fun night with his friends. Now, here is where everything turns dark. Emmanuel could not swim. He told his friends this. He completely and repeatedly told them he could not swim. He initially refused to enter the pool, but they encouraged him and egged him to go on anyways. For a while, they swam together, had fun, played together in the pool, in the dark, lukewarm water. Around them, the party was winding down. Everybody was retiring for the night. It was almost dawn. At 3:30 a.m., Emmanuel started struggling. His head dipped below the surface and he would come back up for air and then dip back down. He was struggling to breathe. His friends did not try to help him. They did not jump him. They did not alarm anybody. They didn't call for help. They did not yell for a lifeguard. What they did was far worse. They climbed out of the pool, they stood at the edge of the water, and they watched him fight for his life. According to sworn accounts given by the Deputy Inspector General of Police, one of the boys later made a confession to the police that reveals a true horror of that night. He said that he wanted to raise an alarm to save the boy, but the other two boys asked him not to. Why? What was so important that they could watch their friend, their very generous, nice friend, drown? The answer? Because one of them told the police something that was almost too cruel to believe. Because he was doing shakara, because his father was rich. Imagine. All the girls were flocking to him. His father was rich. That was a reason for them to allow him to die, for them to allow him to lose his life. Just let that sink in. Let it sink in. The cruelty of these children. Let it sink in. They said the quiet part out loud. They admitted to a senior police officer of the Nigerian police force that they made a collective decision based on jealousy and envy to let their friend die. The drowning did not just end Emmanuel's life, it exposed the complete moral collapse of everybody that was involved. After he died, the three friends stood together at the poolside. They waited and talked. According to the CCTV footage, they huddled together for a few minutes, planning their next move. Then they began to rob him. One took his handset, another took his trousers, brought out the money inside the pocket and put it in his own pocket. Another wore his shoes. They all took his belongings and then returned to school without informing anyone of what had happened. At around 4:18 a.m. in the morning, they left the hotel. They did not tell anyone, they did not call for help. They just went back to their hostel at the University of Abuja and then they went to sleep, leaving Emmanuel's body at the pool for hours. On Monday, a young girl from the University of Abuja called Emmanuel's mother and told her that they had not seen him in class. She said it seemed something had happened to Emma and then she ended the call. The mother frantically called back, but the line was switched off. She notified her husband and they immediately drove to their son's hostel on Monday night. His bed was empty. They began to piece together the last known location of Emmanuel and they found out about the freshers party at the Dome Hotel. They rushed to the hotel and the hotel management told them about a drowning incident that happened over the weekend. They were then directed to the police station and then to the mortuary. The next day, Emmanuel's uncle and a friend of the family went to the police station and they demanded to see the CCTV footage of the hotel to know what had happened. What they saw shocked them. It was unbelievable. From the CCTV, they noticed that the deceased had entered the pool with three of his friends at around 3:33 a.m. He started struggling in the pool because he could not swim. They saw his friends all watching him until he stopped struggling and drowned. They saw the defendants withdraw from the pool and how the deceased had struggled inside the pool until he died. They saw the defendants dress up, leave the scene without raising an alarm after robbing him. The family friend who witnessed the footage described it as not only traumatic but also disheartening. The police arrested the three friends and some hotel staff. The hotel management were arrested for negligence and allegedly destroying evidence. In court, the family's lawyer told the judge they watched their friend die out of jealousy and envy. Two of the suspects, Christian Francis, 17 years old, and David Ogu, who was 16 years old, were charged on 3 counts of conspiracy, failure to give information, and culpable homicide. They pleaded not guilty to the offences, and on July 3rd of 2019, they were arraigned before an FCT High Court in Yanga. They were granted bail in the sum of 5 million naira each, with one surety, each of who must not be below the level of an assistant director in the Federal Civil Service. The trial dragged on and on and on, and in February 2020, the court heard testimony from Emmanuel's uncle, Mr. Akin Balogun, who described how they had discovered the CCTV footage. The case was adjourned multiple times to allow for cross-examination of the witnesses. As of the last public records, the trial is still ongoing. The wheels of justice in this case is just really moving painfully slow. His name was Emmanuel Aigbokhalode Balogun. He was only 17 years old. He bought his friends fish and juice and they let him drown because he was popular and they thought he was showing off. The most terrifying part of this story isn't just the drowning, it's the conversations at the poolside. Three teenagers huddling together, making the conscious, deliberate choice to let a human being, their friend, die and then steal from him afterwards. A friend in need, they say, is a friend indeed, really. But Emmanuel Balogun's friends were not even friends at all. They proved to be envious, jealous youngsters who pretended to be his friends, who betrayed him when he needed them the most. At the very moment he could not help himself, they became the Brutus of their generation. This is shadows of the past, remembering those who had friends in name only.